Alright folks, welcome to the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Jay Real, bringing you a Friday edition to the show. This is September 5th, 2013, and man, we've been having a lot of fun this summer, but now school's back in. Folks are getting ready for the long winter, so we're just going to have to hang in there and bring you some really cool sports topics, and today we're going to start with Major League Baseball, because our Pirates are on the fence. We are big Pittsburgh fans here, whether it be the Penguins, the Pirates, or our Steelers. And we have to say we're really excited because the Pirates, they should be breaking a 2-decade streak of being in winning, losing seasons. Right now they are fighting and they are struggling hard to get that 82 victories to push us over and get us into that winning area for the season, so that a winning season. So we're real excited about that. But man, they blew it against the Brewers. Our Pirates had two times they had fully loaded bases, and what do? They leave them stranded there. Not only that, but they strand 12 players in that game. It was brutal. It was brutal to see, and it's hard to think that they're going to be able to pull off getting that 82nd victory if they don't play better than that, and their pitching was horrible. It's unbelievable how bad they played in this game, but they are still one game ahead of the Cardinals, which is a good thing. So we're going to have to just cross our fingers and hope that they can get that done here in their next game so we can get finally over the hump. 2 decades of being in the losing seasons for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and we're just hoping, praying that we can get out of this season with a winning season. So we're going to move on from Major League Baseball, and we're going to go into the NFL opens tonight. That's right, Ravens against the Broncos. And we're going to go out on a limb here, and we're going to go with the defending champions and say the Ravens will have a small edge at the end of this game. We're looking at somewhere between 21, maybe 18, 17, somewhere in there. It's going to be a close game, but we just feel that the Ravens are going to be after this. I mean, they won the Super Bowl, for heaven's sakes. Now, everybody does say that there's the Super Bowl slump. We're not going to go with that this year. We think that the Ravens have made some adjustments, are going to do very well, especially in their defense. We actually think they have a better defense than they had last year. Now, time will tell, but again, we're going to go ahead and roll with the Ravens on a really close victory in tonight's season opener. But we're excited. I mean, it's football. We are here. Can't believe it. We are just so pumped up about football. And just to touch a little base, last show we touched a little bit on the way that the NFL is changing their rules and they're changing the game because of all of the lawsuits and things against them. But we have to say, even if they change the way they're changing right now, just stop changing. You're making the product weaker and diluted and just totally confusing to your average fan. Now, for those in us that understand football and can really break it down and watch it and love it for the purity of it, we're still going to watch. But I'm going to tell you right now, NFL, you keep changing this. And we sat down and we spoke with JV Money from Phoenix, and he broke it down the best. Eventually, people are going to get tired of the changes. They're going to get tired of not understanding the game. I mean, right now, you see a touchdown, the guy grabs the ball in the end zone, cups it in his arms, has total control of it, falls on the ground, he's rolling around, players are diving on him, rolls up, stands up, and then drops the ball, and they say it's an incomplete pass. That kind of stuff is what's messing with the game. That kind of stuff is what gets your average fan going, what is going on? Is this stuff rigged? Is this stuff, do these refs not understand what a touchdown is? And especially when you see a guy with 3 fingers on the ball diving to the pylon and barely breaks the plane as the ball busts out of his hands, and they call it a touchdown. So what we're going to say here is NFL, you're okay right now. You still have fans across the world, as we know, because the ratings are up. People are still watching the All-Star games. People are still lining up to watch preseason games, paying full price. But I can tell you this right now, as Jay Money said, if you keep messing with the game, if you keep watering it down, diluting the product, eventually, folks, might take years, could take a decade, who knows, but eventually the game that has grown to become the number one sport. Remember, it wasn't 25, 30 years ago, baseball was the number one sport, and football eventually took over. And I would hate to see that happen, where eventually some other sport would come along and take over NFL football because people have lost interest and lost the passion for this game because, one, they're taking all the physicality out of it, two, all the crazy rule changes and adaptations to the game that make people just look at it now and go, what is going on with football? Three, allowing the refs to just have total free reign and making horrible decisions and possibly changing the outcome of games. Refs have to be under control. They have to be a part of the game but not be the game, which is what's going on in some of these games that has to get changed and has to be put under control. And then four, we have to understand that people relate to these athletes, the money they make, the way they live their lives, and have these players like they were 20 years ago appreciate the game, not cry and whine when they get hurt, not crying and whine because they're not getting every little thing they need. It's just amazing where football's going. And I just hate to see it because one day people will lose interest in the sport if it doesn't stop changing. Now, don't get me wrong, folks, because I know people are going to be out there watching going, well, if you don't change and evolve, you die. That's true, evolve. They're making better equipment. Science is getting up with the times, and they're figuring out how to make injuries less. I understand all that. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly okay. What's not is telling us what is a catch and what is not a catch when our eyes see somebody make a catch of a football, land on the ground with 2 feet in bounds, and it not be called a fair catch or an inbounds pass. That kind of stuff is just totally ridiculous. And then let's not even forget the tuck rule. This year, it's thrown out. Now the tuck rule would be a fumble. For all you Raiders fans, I feel for you, man. I feel bad for you because anyone watching that Pats game against the Raiders, and the Raiders won the game, Super Bowl in hand, and what do? The refs make a new rule off the fly and call it a tuck rule. Then all of a sudden now we got to put it on the books, so it doesn't look like the Raiders are getting totally jobbed by the refs and by the Pats, which they did. Stop changing the game. Stop making it watered down. All right. I get off my soapbox there, but I just had to say that. And then, of course, fantasy football has started. Most drafts just ended up within the week or two, because if your drafts were any earlier than that, I'd really question the draft or the fantasy league you're on. You have to allow the teams to develop. You have to allow the teams to make the cuts and find out who's getting hurt and who's starting and all the things that you need to know at the end of preseason. And if you're drafting before preseason starts or the first week, it's very difficult to say who do you want and who can you use and who do you need on fantasy football. So most drafts just ended up happening over the last week or so. If that's the case, be sure to go on today. Set up your leagues. Don't forget to make any roster adjustments for injuries or players cut. It's happening. It just happened all through the week and all weekend. So fantasy football's here. We're excited. Our league is full. It is packed, crazy packed. So we're going to have a fun time with that. And then also in football news, Percy Harvin has came out on record saying he will be ready by week 7, or at least that's his projected goal, to be prepared to be on the field by week 7, because this guy is chomping at the bit to get on this field. As some of you may know, and if you don't, here it is. Percy Harvin is recovering from hip surgery, and he is recovering better than expected, which everybody says that. We know. Everybody says, oh, it's coming along better than expected, but his goal, his projection is week 7. So for any of you fantasy fans out there that have him on your league, you'll be excited to see him if that actually happens, where he can be back by week 7. So good luck to Percy Harvin and his camp and his team. They should do just marvelous. I mean, that team is just the bomb this year. And then finally, we're going to wrap up with the Super Bowl picks that have been going on pretty much for the last 2 or 3 weeks. How stupid, how asinine is this to be? Can we get through week 1? Can we watch 1 week, the first week of football, before all these experts and all these sports people come out and start picking their NFL Super Bowl picks? I mean, really? If you're picking, let's say, I don't know, let's go with the Atlanta Falcons. Hey, they were almost there. They were on the door knocking last year. And I did say, but this is the difference, that I would not expect Atlanta, or I would expect Atlanta to be knocking on the door this year. They have the talent, they have the team, and yes, they were right on that fence last year, but they just can't seem to get over the hump. At no point will you hear us here at the Average Joe Sports Talk Show before week 1 making Super Bowl predictions. Stop it. That doesn't make any sense. Who cares about Super Bowl picks before week 1 has even happened? Because guess what? If you pick the Patriots to go to the Super Bowl and Tom Brady blows his knee out in week 2, does that change your Super Bowl pick? I'm sure it would, right? If you have the Green Bay Packers going to the Super Bowl, Seahawks, I mean, the list, I mean, you can name a list long as my arm who you think is going to go to the Super Bowl. If their starting all-star quarterback gets blown out of the game, gets just totally knocked out for the season, they're no longer a Super Bowl pick. And I know people will say, well, that's what it is. It's just a pick. This is who you're saying. But we don't even know, folks. It's not even week 1. So stop with the Super Bowl picks. Let's just get through week 1 and see how these teams fare on a normal week, and then maybe a couple, 3-4 weeks into the season, seeing how people are playing, who's hurt, who's not, who's coming out of the woodworks. No one expected Russell Wilson last year when he started would be like that. No one. Colin Kaepernick, same thing. No one expected that. So to say now, oh, San Francisco's a Super Bowl pick for how many people? Well, what if he gets hurt in week 3? Blows out his knee, whatever. Then there goes your Super Bowl pick. It doesn't really matter. All I'm saying is, let's get a little realistic here. Let's get through the first week, the first season week of football, and then maybe someone can start making some kind of wild assumptions and picks on the Super Bowl. But for right now, we're going to say stop it. Let's just watch the games, enjoy them, and appreciate them, because it's football time, folks. Jay Real's going to sign out for this Friday show. You have to thank the Player Zone. They got all this cool stuff. Star Wars, comic books, collectibles, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, all of the accessories. I mean, they hooked us up with the house. We can't appreciate the Player Zone enough. And folks, if you're ever interested in gaming of any kind, be sure you come and see the folks at the Player Zone. They're located in Ruidoso, New Mexico. They'd love to see you. You can reach them through Facebook, the Player Zone, or RuidosoMidtown.com. Click on the Merchants tab. Boom. You'll get right to the Player Zone through there. Hit them up. I'm sure they'll hook you up with whatever your needs are. And then we have to thank we have to thank Right on Time Aaron and Delivery Service, because without them, the Average Joe Sports Talk Show wouldn't even be here. I wouldn't be here. So for right now, Jay Real's going to say enjoy the football weekend, and we'll be here on Tuesday to break it down, give you the ups, the lows, who's the winners, who's the losers of this first week of NFL football. But for right now, peace. Much love. Jay Real will see you on next week's show. Tune in. It's going to be good.
J. J.